very much. That was fantastic. What a great session. Thought-provoking conversation. Learned loads. Really, lots. I've made loads of notes. Lots to think about. Thank you. And talking of AI, we're going to see AI in action now in an interactive session. So we'll see it at work. And I'm pleased to introduce Reo Ogusu from SeeAi. Reo is a co-founder and CTO there, recognised as a UK Global Tech Talent recipient. His experience in research and development in the UK and Japan. So let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Reo. I'm very excited to be here. I'm going to be talking about LLMs and how you can utilize them for business. I'm going to be looking at it for more of a practical side. So it's the title of the talk, how to utilize LLM for business and going beyond chatbot with ChatGPT. So just to start off with a bit of introduction about myself. Again, my name is Reo. I'm the co-founder and director of a company called SeeAi. And we're AI-focused software development and consultancy. We're based in northern part of England, Leeds, and we help companies integrate AI technology to increase productivity and make their work operations more efficient. So we do all things AI, from natural language processing to computer vision. But our recent focus in this year has been with large language models because it's such a disruptive technology that's been a game changer for many different industries. And that's what I want to be sharing to you about today. So this is the objective of the talk. It's for you to learn about why ChatGPT can be used as more than a chatbot and how it can be utilized to increase productivity in your business. So this is the agenda. It's going to be divided into 3 parts. First, I just want to give a quick intro to what LLMs are. Second part, I'm going to be talking about how you can use LLMs for your business. And 3, some tips and afterthoughts to wrap up the talk. Let's get started. So part 1, quick intro to large language models. I want to get everybody on the same ground because from my understanding is everybody comes from a different background. So just to give everybody up to date about what it is, it's not going to be technical, about what LLMs are. And put it bluntly, it's the technology behind ChatGPT. And I'm sure if you're in this event, you've already touched or heard about ChatGPT. And this is a very simplified example of how ChatGPT works, is that you input a text and it completes the sentence. So if you write I am, it will complete the sentence with happy. If you write 1 + 5 =, it will fill it in with 6. Or even you can write a program, say function add numbers, and then it will complete the function definition. So before we get to large language model, I want to focus on language model. So first of all, what is a language model? And to take from the previous example, so if you have an input, I am, this language model will assign a probability to some words. So it might assign, say, something like 0.082 for word happy. And it might assign something very low to spaghetti because I am happy is more likely to occur than I am spaghetti. So it's a language model is a next word predictor. It's capable of predicting the next word given an input of a sentence. It's a next word predictor. So, but because it's called large language model it's not called large language model for nothing. So they're big, and this is a diagram that shows how increasingly big they're getting. So OpenAI is one of the organizations that's been really pushing the boundaries of scaling these models. And their latest model is GPT-4. So as you can imagine, they went through iteration from GPT-1 to 3, 3.5 to 4. And you can see that tiny dot on the top left corner is GPT-1. And since then, it's been to GPT-2, GPT-3 is the bottom left with 175 billion. And their best model, GPT-4, is that huge circle on the bottom right. So you can see that they're really increasing the size of the model. And also, it's not just the size of the model that they're increasing. They're also increasing the size of the data set. GPT-3, according to their paper, uses roughly 500 billion tokens. And tokens, you can think of it as a word. So they use 500 billion words, which almost, it's not easy to wrap your hand around. but you can think of it as 6 million books. And to give a bit of context, I did some Google search, and the London Library holds around 1 million books. So GPT-3 is trained on 6 times the book that London Library holds. The biggest library in the UK is the British Library. They hold around 14 million books. So GPT-3 is trained about around roughly a little bit short of the half. But OpenAI's best model, GPT-4, according to unofficial information, used nearly 130 million books. So that is almost 9 to 10 times the amount of book that the British Library, the biggest library in the UK, holds. That's the amount of books or data that this model has been trained on. And so what was the result of making it bigger? So as they make it bigger, something interesting happened. So these models acquire this ability to learn new knowledge on the fly. And this allows LLMs to solve tasks which previously required multiple specialized tools. So you have one LLM, and you can utilize them for many different tasks. And if you have used ChatGPT, you've probably seen it in action. You can have it to instruct to write a contract, to write email, but it's able to solve all those different tasks without having a specialized model. So one single model can be utilized for many different tasks. So that's what this slide shows. So we usually call the instruction or input to this large language model as a prompt, because prompt is a way to instruct the model so it performs the tasks you need. And on the right hand of the slide, you can see different kind of things that you can have ChatGPT do. So people use it for writing assistant, coding help, learning new topics, translate language, creative content. But people have been discovering more and more use cases. And just to showcase how diverse LLMs can be used for, or ChatGPT can be used for, this is a screen recording of this. Okay, it's supposed to play, but I'm just going to go ahead. So there's a really interesting website called Awesome Prompts, and they showcase so many different ways that people have been using ChatGPT for. And somebody asked it to be an interviewer. They will ask ChatGPT to be a debater. Somebody will ask for it to be a guy. So there are people who have been discovering many ways to how they can utilize LLM for. And also, there's been an advancement or update to ChatGPT recently, and you can actually not only test, you can input an image. So this is something that I try. So on the left, you can see a table of a cargo tracking data from Ocean Network Express, and you see which route or how your cargo is doing. And you can just feed it to ChatGPT and ask it to summarize the status of my cargo, and then it's able to understand and summarize what happened to the cargo very well. So that means you can program ChatGPT to go into these sites and report it back to you to check all the status of your tracking or cargo, which usually require humans to go in and check. So to the main point, how can we use LLM for business? And so we talk with different businesses and organizations about how we can integrate ChatGPT, and their first thought usually is, can we build a chatbot? Or can we talk to our PDF? Or can we talk about programming? That's usually their first go-to, because ChatGPT was so revolutionary with the chat interface. It's very common for businesses to think about that's the way to go. But chat is very difficult to get right if you want to make it into your own product. And then there's several reasons for this. I want to explain 5 important points. One is hallucination. If you read the news, you might have heard of the term. It means that because that LLMs are statistical machine that just predicts the next word, so it's prone to, or more, it's known to lie even when it doesn't have the information. And it's very difficult to validate if what LLM is saying is true or not. And it can make up stuff, so you might not want to have chatbot that you expose to your customer to be lying. And also the context window. So LLM has a limit in history that it can remember. So it cannot remember unlimited things. It can only understand a certain amount of context. And before, actually last week, it was they had a context window of around 4,000 to 16,000, but there's been a huge update to OpenAI model this Monday that now it can remember up to 120,000 words or tokens. So I just wanted to share that to explain how fast evolving this field is and how outdated this information and facts get. But still, if you throw 120,000 tokens to this model, it takes a long time to process, which leads to the next point, inference speed. And it could take a few seconds. Usually, normally it takes a few seconds to get a response. If you send 120,000 tokens, it could take minutes. And if you're building a chatbot, that might not be something that you want your user to experience. And also, there's been a known issue about prompt brittleness, where you have an input, and a small change to the input causes a catastrophic difference in the output. Even adding a space, comma, or double space, that actually changes the output. And that makes it very hard to monitor if your chatbot or the model is doing well, which leads to the final point, evaluation, because it's very difficult to evaluate whether a chatbot is doing or performing the way that you want it to your customer, to your user, because of all these reasons. So the key point of this is that chat is not the only way you can utilize LLMs for your business. And so we've been working on different settings and case with projects with company doing proof of concepts and actual product. And the problem settings where we find LLMs to really shine is about document processing. So when it involves data centralization and data extraction, LLM does a fantastic job. And it also will be better if it's that document processing or document foundation has been involving traditionally a manually intensive work where somebody sits on front of a computer and doing all that work, or if it's a long tail problem where you have so many variations that it's hard to prepare for with the traditional programming. So I'm going to be sharing 3 case studies with the project we've been working on to give you a concrete example of how it works in practice. So case studies of non-chat applications. Case 1, data cleaning and data linkage. So if you're working, this is very common for different organizations and businesses. You have 2 different data sources. This is a simplified example. So you have 2 tables, table 1 and table 2. Table 1 has 3 columns, vessel name, port arrival date, and cargo type. And table 2 has 3 columns, but different ship name, cargo content, and cargo reference number. As a human, we look at these 2 column names, and we know that vessel name and ship name, they mean the same. And also cargo type, cargo content, they express the same thing. But this has been a very difficult thing to do with programming because you need to account for all these possibilities that human can make a mistake for, and there's an infinite cases. And we also look at ship name, vessel name. So the first row for table 1 is SS Marine Alpha, whereas in table 2 is S Marine A. And this is also a very common thing to have because people abbreviate. They have each organization have their own terminology, their own convention. And that's why it's been a traditional work of a human or person to check all this data manually, maybe have to Excel spreadsheet open in the window half by half and compare and see which one matches or not. So this is where you can use LLM for instead of having human to do it. So say we wanted to combine, we know that as a human we can, those rows or data represents the same information. We can dynamically generate a prompt which says row 1, vessel name SS Marine Alpha, cargo type electronics, row 2, ship name SS Marine A, cargo content electronic goods, and we can ask ChatGPT or LLM if they represent the same information. And of course, you'll be able to answer it very well. And of course, we don't want to do this copy paste it to ChatGPT. So OpenAI has an API available, which you can run this in the background. So that's what you would do in practice. So you can automate all of that, run in the background. So all the linkage will be done without having human interventions. And caveat of this is that So I guess it could get expensive if you have, say, millions of rows. But in that case, you can also have ChatGPT or LLMs to analyze your data and point out different issues or data issues that your data could have, and have ChatGPT to generate a program that solves those issues. That way, you don't have to pay a cost for running cleaning, and that could save some costs. So next case study is data standardization. So this is a project where we worked on analyzing resumes. And if you ever worked on resumes, you know that they can come in different shapes and sizes. People get really creative. People use different fonts. People might use images. They could have different layouts. Even a term like words that they use could be very different. People write PhD versus doctor, MSc, master's, work experience versus occupation. It's also another example of a long tail problem where there's just so many things that people can get creative, and very hard to make a program that's able to analyze it or parse it or standardize it in the way that we want. And so we use LLM for effectively standardizing any kind of resume. So what we do is very simple. We just rip out the text from resume. It doesn't save any layout or format. Just rip out the text as it is, and then have LLM to organize it in the way that we specified it to. And then by doing that, LLM is really good at organizing and extracting relevant information from this chunk of text. It's able to group it in a logical manner, so name, title, experience, summary, skills, education. It's able to do that for any kind of resumes. So if we can do that for all the resumes that we have, we can use those standardized resume, and we can use it. We can do further analysis on the resume, such as you can search and filter for candidates that matches your criteria. You can also search for resumes that are for similar candidates as the one that you feel that is your ideal candidate, or you can have it match with job description. This is very useful because recruiters, they get thousands of resumes. It's very difficult to look through all, and then it shouldn't be a human's job. They can be focused on a better, more tasks that requires their time. So this is one of the examples where you can use AI to automate mundane tasks so human can focus on what's important. And finally, product research. So this is very common thing to have your organization with lots of inventories. So it could be manufacturing, marketing, e-commerce, and you usually have this person with a spreadsheet, and then the spreadsheet has a lot of different product names that they need to go to Google and search. So they might need to search for product title, price, availability, part number, and all of that. So this is just, it's not running. So yeah, so this person will have to go through each one, and then they will have to copy paste that title, and then go to Google, search, and then look for the page that looks relevant to that query that you're searching. And then for each page, copy the title, copy the price, copy the product specification, copy unique identifier. And there's usually a person that's sitting in front of a computer for days just working on this. So this is one of the things that we could do better. So we made a LLM-powered product research where it will go through that, do that automatically. And so this LLM will, actually it's better to maybe show you the implementation. So we have a web crawler that crawls through the web and look for the pages that are relevant to the input. And for each page, we'll dynamically create a prompt which asks LLM if you're looking at the right page. If so, if there's information that we're looking for, and if there is, extract it in the way that we need. And then this works really well, and this works really fast. And at the end, we'll have an output that looks like that LLM outputs in a standardized format. We can pop it back in the table automatically. So you have the spreadsheet automatically filled in. Okay, so we got to the final parts, tips and some thoughts to summarize this talk. And to summarize, so we have 3 points that I want to mention. The first part is that, so all the case study that I've shared with you, there's a commonality that we don't let users directly interact with the LLMs. And that's very important because it mitigates all the challenges that I've explained to you in the previous task. And chat UI is very difficult, or chatbot is very difficult UI or product to get right. And it is more of an advanced feature. It's gaining popularity because ChatGPT, but it's definitely more on the advanced side. So if you're looking to use LLMs for your business, the nice starting point is to use LLM to automate internal tasks rather than making chatbots. And second point is that it's important to use LLM as a component and not a full solution. Because LLM is such a versatile, magical hammer that can be applied for anything. I think usually the first instinct is to use it for everything, but that's actually not the way to go because it can get very expensive, slow. Instead, what's important is to look at the current solution you have and find the parts that could be automated by LLM and really pinpoint it and try replacing that single cog. And then that is usually the best way to go because it's usually faster and cheaper, and which leads me to the final point. Because you're focused on specific use case, you can actually evaluate if your LLM or ChatGPT is performing well. So in the case of resume parsing, because I'm using LLM just for parsing, I can know that I can have prepare a test data set where I can test it on it and to monitor and evaluate to make sure that it's performing the level that I want it to be. So it's very important to focus on specific use case. And as a starter, good to use it not for chat, but to automate internal tasks. So well, all the things that I just said does require some development, and maybe it's a resource that you might not have access to. So, but there are nice tools in the world where you can quickly get the feel of it. And I want to, as a final slide, I want to share some tips on how you can get started. So, if you've never heard of this, Zapier is a no-code tool where allows you to integrate different products. And they actually have integration for OpenAI. So what you can do is that you can combine Gmail through OpenAI to Trello, or you can have Google through OpenAI to Slack or Microsoft Teams. You can do stuff like, so whenever there's a Gmail, have OpenAI or ChatGPT to read your email and then write a response and create a card in Trello. Or you can also do stuff like whenever you receive a customer form, have OpenAI read it and then tag it if it's a positive or if it's a negative. So you can connect whatever data source that your company uses, have OpenAI read it, ChatGPT read it, and then output it in a way that makes sense for your business. So this is a really nice way to get a feel of what is possible. And this is important because LLM is such a nascent field. It's disruptive, but it's still new. And people still don't know what the capability is, what's possible. So only way to really understand the capability is to build, try, and share what we learned. So let's build and let's keep on sharing what we learn about this technology. Thank you.